Hello everybody and welcome to the fourth and final instalment of the R&D challenge between Wizards of the Coast, game designers and the players themselves as part of the series of reviewing the Battletech meta over its entirety. I am the Silly Wiz and I am your host for this session. Okay, and today we are looking at the number one deck, the deck that won this tournament. Whether that makes it number one in the history of everything, I doubt, but it did win the tournament, and this is quite an interesting deck, and not what people expected. So we will start with the resources, and this will shock people straight off because there are 10 support assemblies, and there are 9 tactics. That's a lot. And then on top of that, we are going to employ 7 munitions. So that's 26 resources straight out, and we're just going to bolster those with the obligatory 1-2 black market connections. Very interesting that all the players ran 2 black market connections and Wizards only ran 1. Yes, which you might think I only need 1 until it gets scrapped, or the first time somebody hits your stockpile with a Koshier with AP and kills it, and then you think, oh my god, I've lost that for the rest of the game. So this is a very heavy resource mix. There are a lot of resources in here, and we are going to look now at the units, and there are 4 Jenna 2Cs, 033 dash jump 32M, so plausible with the munitions level. There are Dragonfly Primes, just a couple of those. Lots of buyouts on this. 3, 2A, 1M, 2T, 153 jump. A lot of people say, why run this over Fenris Prime? Probably the jump. Then we have Fenris C. A 161 Missile 1 unit. I know people have said Missile 1 is the worst thing possible. Yeah, I can understand their point of view. But you look at this, and if it comes over your stockpile, you just think, I'm not too scared, I'll take the 1. And then they roll a die and that turns into 4. And you think, why the hell didn't I block it? And then you block it, it does 1 damage and assigns the missile to your stockpile and does 3 to your stockpile. Yeah. Or it does nothing and you think, oh, I've wasted a block. It's a great little probing mech. I know that sounds like alien abduction movies and whatever else, but it is great. It's a nice little stockpile plinker if you use it in the right way. Yeah, it's like, tools are really good, but you know, I dig holes with spades and put sugar in my tea with a teaspoon. I do not use the shovel to put the sugar in my tea, and I do not dig holes with a teaspoon. So the right tool for the right job. Okay. Next we have, and you know it's a wolf deck, so we're going to have 6 Phantom Bs, and 6 Phantom As. And 5 Phantom Ds. So that's a lot heavier. So more resources, heavier units. The idea being, if you can deploy wisely and utilise your mechs well and play well, then that actually gives you a lot more advantage. And there's a bit of a curve here. Running with this many resources, you can probably expect 3 out of the first 10 cards to be resources, and probably 3 units at least, and then 1 other maybe, and 1 variable. So you're going to have the tools to deploy. It's how well you make your deployments and get the most out of them with this deck. As defensive methods, we have heavy fogs, 4 of those. the anti-swarm card, and a Forged Mission Order. And the final card, I bet you can't guess this. Alright, mentally guess what you would put as your final card. You know, you're going to put Superior Nav in there, pushing the envelope, Overrun, whatever it is. Mentally guess that. Write it down, stick it in an envelope, whatever. And I bet you are wrong. Because the final card is actually the World Champions card, Mech Warrior Peter. Pilot +1 initiative. Mech piloted by Mech Warrior Peter may deal any amount of its damage to the target. Use this ability only if the mech is fast and only if blocked. So this basically gives your unit long range anything. Which is actually quite good in that respect. So the idea here is that on something like a Phantom D or a Phantom A, you can push 4 to the stockpile with any problems at all. You can take a hit because your mech's durable. You can take a hit because you've got heavy fog. It doesn't matter if he tries to kill a few of your resources because you've got so many of them. And if in doubt, you'll keep churning out more and more units. And if you need it, you need a Forged Mission Order to get rid of a unit in order to get through. Okie dokie. We will now just add the sideboard, or put the sideboard in. And I know I haven't told you who it is, so keep guessing. Again, write that in the envelope. Whose deck is this? Okay. So Forged Mission Order in there. Another Heavy Fog in there if they need it. You're going to like this one. I bet this didn't feature in many people's deck. 2 Carpet Bombings. We'll talk about that in a minute. Another Fenris C. Oops, which I can't spell. A Dragonfly Prime. And 2 Arrow 4 batteries complete the sideboard. Arrow 4 battery, as we've said, to stop the recycling, and also Note Field Command Post. Fenris C and Dragonfly C to shorten the curve if you need it. If you need lower cost mechs, faster blockers, then that's where they come in. And when you look at this deck, where's the cost curve? The curve is quite high. You've got 3 Fenris Cs, 2 Dragonfly Primes, 4 Jenna 2 Cs. So you're looking to get one of these out. But they all cost, well, they cost 2 for the Fenris, but you're talking 3 for the others. So this is why there are more resources in there. So you can play resources, and put these out early. So instead of trying to get 2 units on the board, you're looking to get more resources in the short term and enough blockers. Which is definitely a slightly different way of playing. It's kind of playing defensive in order to get bigger units out and then capitalizing. Okay. So Forged Mission Orders, we've seen how you could see how people block and substitute stuff in. Heavy Fog is if you need it because they're playing a Dave Heimer Swarm or resource hunting. Carpet Bombing. This is better again than I think people think. Play only if you have munitions in play. We have that. Each mech and vehicle receive 2 damage. Remember, this is each mech and vehicle in the mission. All right. So this is where we say mech and vehicle because Arsenal's round. Each unit receives 2 damage. And this is in here to 1. Stop a dasher. Can do. 2 damage. As good as anything. 2. Make anything with as a vehicle make that die roll. Okay. And that's what it's there for. There are 2 units for that. It's kind of pre-Rocky Gorge-esque. Or at least False Maps Rocky Gorge. Obviously, False Maps is the mission that puts Rocky Gorge into play and the damage is permanent. But this is 2 damage to everything, and it's played as a mission. Obviously, that has surprise value, and until you put False Maps and then play Gorge, that there's the surprise value. If you just put Gorge out, there's no surprise there. So this is actually an anti-vehicle card. Although you can use it with dashes, you can use it if you've got a soul blocker or less blockers, or you know that everything's going to die, or you feel that you're going to have to chump and your opponent is going to overrun you, and then you play this and then they roll a 5 and a 6 on their surviving vehicles and they both die. So again, a bit underrated, can be useful, and worth it. I've used it on a couple of occasions, and I've used it with a blocking Nexus to kill off 2 Venoms or something or like that early in the game, and trade 1 unit and a mission for 2 or 3 units. And people don't see it coming. So this deck is Doug Outlaw Harvilla's deck, and he won the challenge. It plays into the long game, so to speak. It's durable. The units are durable. The resource mix is durable. I'm not even sure he got many Arsenal cards. In fact, are there any Arsenal cards in here? There is Mech Warrior Peter in here, and Carpet Bombing. And there are no War Funds or anything else like that. So this one, you can see why it won against Dave Hymas's, or it could deal with the Wizards of the Coast Swarm, because you've got a number of heavy fogs in here. It's not quite Doug Harvilla's classic Fog Wolf, which I probably should do at some point, which basically employs a similar strategy to Dave Hymas's when it comes to fogging things up, so to speak. But the resource mix is classic Doug, with more resources and durable mechs and less missions and orders. And Mech Warrior Peter on one of these faster units to deal its damage to the stockpile allows you to poke an awful lot through, etc, etc. And fair play to him, he won. And I think when you look at the Wizards of the Coast deck, once you work out how it works, it's actually quite easy to pick off the assemblies and make him pay for the Victors and the Spectres. And you've got Heavy Fog to take a few hits, or lessen the hits and blows of the Burks and Spectres. And if you play wisely, you can do a decent job on it. And he obviously did. So congrats. But it's very interesting to see where the meta is. This is a world away from the Dash Wolf deck that Peter ran at Worlds. Charlie Catino's vehicle deck, for want of a better phrase, is a world away from... It's radically different to the Chopper deck, the Sandhurst Royal Military Academy Treachery deck that Terry and Shu Yigao ran and came first and second with. It's a radical departure from the Solaris, Kai and Victor decks that turned up at Worlds as well. So the game after Arsenal was again heading in the right directions. You could see where decks came from, how they developed, how they moved. You can see that in Peter's deck, where the original core Wolf concept has continued. Mechs have been superseded, things have changed, balances have changed, there are better options, and the deck has evolved. Okay, and you know, if you've seen the next world, or you've seen the next Worlds deck, you can see where it comes in, and then you can see how that evolves into the Worlds the following year, where Tom Smith got, I think fair to say, a little lucky, but played well. Is how I would describe the Gorge Master. Okay, so there you go. Those are the 4 decks that came in the top 4 places for the Wizards of the Coast R&D Challenge, where the players pummeled the hell out of the game designers, and they cheated in order to get somebody on the podium and not lose any face. And anyone that read Elf Strike the Weekend after saying, "Congrats, Doug, you won." Oh, and Wizards of the Coast are a bunch of cheats because they rigged it so that Charlie got on the podium. Yeah. So, onwards and upwards. I have some more decks to do before I look at the UK Nationals and then Worlds and how that transpired and the meta and everything else. But that's another day, another dollar, another time. And until then, I hope that you look after yourself and take care, because it's a big bad world out there.